In our day-to-day printing task, we can see that almost 90 to 95% of printing is black and white and only around 5 to 10% is color. For example, a book or a project report of 100 pages can contain most pages in black and white and perhaps only cover pages needs to be printed in color and maybe some pages in between may also require color printing. For complete color printing, one needs to go for either digital printing or screen printing. Anyways, our focus here is on small scale printing. Hence, for color, we will use inkjet printers with original ink, and for black and white, we will use black and white laser printers with compatible ink. Color printing is about mixing colors, so with both inkjet and laser printers, using compatible color ink is going to spoil the printer, so we should never do it. Color laser printers are expensive for small users, so let's not bother to even touch those. So I say again, we will use inkjet printers with original ink for all color printing and black and white laser printer with compatible toner for all black and white printing. Our previous episode in this series, you can check it out. We have given guidelines about maintaining a color inkjet printer. In this video, we will turn our focus on laser printer. So let's start refilling a laser toner cartridge, HP 12A compatible cartridge. Here I am refilling Foxin company compatible cartridge. We have already given a demo and review of this cartridge in an older video. So let's begin. You will need a good working place, a broad table, some newspapers or waste wrapper sheets, and all this equipment or tools which you can see. Please arrange those. You need a small funnel to fill the ink into the toner. There's a screwdriver, cutting plier, etc. and many other things which you will come to know why they are needed. That box with me are some extra parts inside the cartridge which I collected from old cartridges before dumping. It contains some screws, springs, etc. If needed, we can use those. That's a new compatible toner which we'll use to show you the difference. And that box contains ink bottles to refill. So you need to arrange these things for refilling the toner and then start the refilling job. Since this refilling job is a messy work, we will keep ourselves clean by wearing gloves and masks. Also, carbon ink can cause allergy. Let's bring the empty toner. Okay, let's start removing the cartridge. We will use a screwdriver for that. On one side of it, you will find a cap which holds the drum to the cartridge. There you will usually find two screws which you should remove. Also, we advise to watch this process, watch this video completely and then prepare to refill your toner. Please don't do it simultaneously by watching this video and keeping cartridge in your hand. This is the first side cap which we have removed. Also, we have removed two screws. Keep a note on this. Now, what you see the green or greenish blue part is the OPC drum or toner drum or simply drum, which is one of the most important components in a toner. Let's remove this drum carefully and keep it aside. Now just below it, you will see another roller which is black in color. This is called PCR roller or rubber roller. That you should remove using a plier. You should reach one of the two edges of the roller where you will observe a metal or steel part. Carefully grip hold on it without damaging the edges of the black rubber part. You will be able to pull it out like this. Let's keep this one too aside. This is called PCR roller, another important component in the toner. Now you will observe that there is a spring attached between two tiny hooks on the side of the toner where drum was attached. This spring is used to hold the drum in place while it's rolling. Let's carefully remove this spring also without damaging those tiny hooks. It's very important. You can use a sharp pointed tool like this to remove it. Also, while doing all this for the first time, you should carefully observe the placements and alignments of these components so that it can help you when you put those back after refilling. Also, I am assuming that you are using a fresh toner which was not refilled before by anyone so that all the components are in right place. Make sure you are refilling for the first time. Now, on either sides of the toner, you can see two tiny cylindrical pins. You will have to remove these. Always observe things before handling anything. Use an Allen key or something which is bent in L shape with a pointed edge because you will have to access these pins from the inside like this. I am actually using a long thin screwdriver to reach out those points. Before poking into those pins, first observe where those pins are present because if you poke randomly, you might be making indentations around those pins which can cause problems in future. Make sure your working place is sufficiently lighted so that you can clearly see all these small hidden objects. Remove both the pins. Without removing the pins, don't try to open the toner which can damage it. Now you have removed the toner successfully and divided it into two parts. This is the first stage of toner refilling. Now in first compartment the waste ink is collected which you will need to discard. The other compartment which we kept aside is where you are going to fill the fresh ink. Now you should remove this waste ink which is collected inside the container here. For that, we should remove these two screws. There is another spring here which you should remove and we will tell what is the importance of this spring later on. Again, I am telling please observe before removing anything so that you will know how to put it back later on. Because everything you may not be able to see and learn from this video, though we are trying our best to explain. So we removed two more screws, total 4 screws if you remember. Let's keep this component aside. This is the third component we removed, isn't it? It's called wiper blade. We will tell you what it is later on. Now you can see the black powder here. This is waste ink. You should remove this fully and never reuse this. You might be tempted but don't. This will damage both the toner and printer because this powder has lost all the charging properties. Please keep this in mind. You can use a brush and cloth for this. Remove as much as possible by tapping. You may not require to use a blower to completely remove this because anyhow it's going to get collected again in small quantities as soon as you start printing again. If some residual ink is left over in this container, it won't cause any problems. But it is important to remove this waste ink while refilling because some people will leave this as it is in a hurry and only refill the ink in the other compartment. They will ignore this cleaning part. Some people also drill a hole on the toner collector compartment and fill the ink without even removing the toner cartridge itself. All these are bad practices. If this waste container gets filled, it can spill out of the cartridge and can get collected inside the printer and you know it can spoil the printer. So don't be lazy and follow every step. This waste ink has to be removed during every refill. Now we will clean the wiper blade. Use a small cotton cloth for this. Clean it thoroughly but do it gently. Now let's turn our attention to the other compartment, the toner compartment. This is where you will have to refill the fresh ink. Even here, you should first clean up the residual ink which can be a mixture of fresh and waste ink. So let's clear all these as much as possible. And the third drum or roller you see here is the magnetic roller. This is the next important component. This basically draws the toner powder onto the drum. So clean this part carefully and delicately. No need to clean it thoroughly. If some ink is left over on it, let it be like that. Its purpose itself is to draw ink from the toner container. There will be always some residual ink over this roller even if the toner is empty. If you observe, you will find another blade attached to this roller which is called doctor blade. You can clean that part gently. Some people remove the screws holding the doctor blade and clean the doctor blade, but this is not required. I will tell you why later on. Now let's safely discard this waste toner. Please make sure you carefully dump it so that children or animals don't come in contact with it. It's similar to medical or surgical waste. Now place another fresh newspaper or sheet on your desk. Now before continuing, let me explain the components inside the toner again. This is an old toner, a different toner which I intentionally kept to show you things clearly and explain. This is the OPC drum which is the most important and most delicate roller. Make sure you don't make any scratches over it and also don't expose it to sunlight. If this gets damaged, you may have to replace it, so be careful. This is the PCR roller which has rubbery surface. Make sure there are no scratches on this too. This is not too delicate compared to drum, but this can also get affected with wear and tear. Even a tiny dot on this can cause problems with your printout. This you can recollect the waste ink container. This is the wiper blade used to wipe ink over the drum onto the waste ink container after every print cycle. If the rubber edge on this blade is damaged, even that can cause printing issues. This is the second compartment of the toner where fresh ink has to be filled. That's the magnetic roller which attracts toner powder by drawing ink out from the toner container. We can also observe that there are two white plastic bushes on either sides of the magnetic rod. This is simply called as bush. If this gets cut or damaged, that can also cause problems in the printout on the edges of the paper. So all these components are important. And here in this box, we have kept all the spare components just in case replacement is needed. So while refilling, you should always inspect each of these components instead of worrying later on after refilling, because you may have to remove everything again and check. So be careful. This is the first spring which we removed immediately after removing the drum. You can recollect. This is the second spring which was inside the waste toner container just above the wiper blade. Now, to just show you, we have removed the magnetic roller from its position. As I said, this is an old toner which we don't use it anymore, so it's useful now for demonstration purpose. Never remove this magnetic rod from its position. No need to clean it also. Ink will always be attracted towards it. In fact, the more ink it attracts, the better will be the quality of print. These are the second and third side caps of the toner. Remember, we have already removed the first side cap in the very beginning in order to remove the drum, and we have not yet removed this second and third side caps. We will see this later on when we go back into the refilling video. These are the side pins which we removed to separate the two compartments of the toner. You can recollect. So let's come back to the refilling video. This is the toner which we are refilling, that is we are working on. Remove any waste ink if you find from both the compartments. Now I will once again show what all we removed. The two compartments, the two springs, the two tiny side pins to hold the compartments together, the four screws which we removed, two for removing the drum, two for removing the wiper blade. The PCR rubber roller, clean up any ink over it. The OPC drum, clean it and handle it delicately. The wiper blade and the first side cap to hold the drum. So this is all what we have removed till now. Now let's keep aside all these things and continue our job.